hindi naman natin makuha yung 2 hours. Pero sana, okay, but I think we will really be extending beyond an hour. Okay, so may I remind you, students, please do not bother to take notes anymore. Okay, I will be giving you this lecture complete with annotation. So my only request is for you to watch and to listen and to participate. Kung may questions kayo, you can raise your hand and I will entertain your questions. Okay? So wala nang problema si Scribe. Okay, so let's see. Let's do some imagination first. Let's imagine that you already graduated from medical school, you passed the board exam, and you are now in your gap year. Okay, so ano ba yung gap year? The gap year is your chance to earn, right? So, mag-hospitalist muna kayo, moonlighting, okay? One of the most frequent cases that you will see during your moonlighting is a patient in labor. Dami niyan nagle-labor. And supposing the consultant in charge tells you, "Can you please monitor my patient? Can you please call me if you see signs or problems? If you see that the labor is abnormal, can you please call me?" Okay? So ang expectation sa hospital is you would know. You would know how to do that, no? So this lecture will actually help you, no? Diagnose abnormal labor and to propose a management for abnormal labor. Okay? So that will be our competencies. Okay, let's talk about certain terminologies first kasi you might get confused. Okay, dystocia or difficult labor, dysfunctional labor, and failure to progress are all synonyms of abnormal labor. So they mean the same thing. But if you go in the clinics, ang ginagamit natin madalas is the word dystocia or difficult labor. Okay? You might also be confused kasi you will hear about CPD and FPD. What's CPD? Cephalopelvic disproportion. Usually that happens with a contracted pelvis or a small pelvis, not proportional to the size of the head of the fetus. Okay? Usually we see that in primigravids. Now, in a multigravid who has previously delivered pero ngayon difficult yung labor niya. Okay? Her pelvis is adequate, but the passenger is big. The term that we use is feto-pelvic disproportion. Okay? So, ang difference lang nila dun sa parity. Okay, then, CD is cesarean delivery. CS is cesarean section. Synonymous din. Okay? So, I will be using them interchangeably. Okay. Sige, to define abnormal labor, we have to know what normal labor is. Dumaan na kayo sa normal labor, no? Lecture? You had that already? Tama ba? Ay, bakit
Yes
may...
po.
Okay, good. All right, so abnormal labor is the opposite of normal labor. So normal labor is actually a physiologic process that involves progressive dilatation of the cervix and progressive descent of the fetus. It happens within a reasonable amount of time and usually ends in a spontaneous vaginal delivery of the fetus and the placenta. Okay, yung abnormal labor is pathologic because there will be problems in cervical dilatation and descent of the fetal head. Usually, it is abnormal because the labor is prolonged, protracted. Protracted means slow, or arrested, meaning the labor stops. It stops, permanently stops. On the other extreme, it could also be very fast. Okay, so hindi lang lahat slow or arrested. It could also be very fast, which we call precipitate. Normally, usually in abnormal labor, vaginal delivery is difficult or sometimes impossible. Okay, but if it is possible, it's usually assisted, no, by forceps delivery or vacuum. Okay, and as I said, it can end in an abdominal delivery. So you see the difference, no, between normal and abnormal. This is just a reminder. It was maybe given to you in the previous lecture. These are the norms for the estimated duration of the phases of labor. As you can see in this table, magkaiba yung numbers, no? There's a difference between the duration and the rate of increase in primigravids and multigravids. Usually, faster in, sino? Siyempre, multi, kasi may experience na sila before. All right? So just remember these numbers because they are important. All right. Now, normal labor requires a normal passenger, a normal passageway, and normal powers. Okay, so normally the passengers should be encephalic or and vertex presentation. The size is not excessively large. The pelvis should be a gynecoid pelvis, and the contractions and the powers should be adequate and normal. So with the combination of all this, no, we do not expect any maternal or fetal complications. So what we expect is a successful vaginal delivery. What happens with abnormal delivery? Okay, abnormal labor. There's an abnormality in the passenger, the passageway, which is the pelvis, and also in the powers. So, because of these abnormalities, expect so many complications. Ayan, ang dami-daming complications. And we will go through that later. Not just on the mother, but also on the baby. That's why it's important to diagnose abnormal labor and manage it promptly. Okay? So, generally, we call the abnormalities of labor as prolongation, protraction, or arrest. Okay. Yung prolongation, it means that labor goes beyond a certain period of time expected for a given phase. For example, prolonged latent phase. Lumampas siya ng duration ng latent phase. Prolonged deceleration phase. Prolonged second stage. Okay, so that's prolongation. Protraction refers to the rate of cervical dilatation and descent. Okay, so again, pag protraction, di ba, ibig sabihin yan, slower. So nagpo-progress, pero not at the rate that we expect it to progress. Okay, so we know, I think you already memorized this, di ba? What is the rate of cervical dilatation in primigravids? It's 1.2 cm per hour. In multigravids, 1.5 cm per hour. The descent of the head, no, is around 1 cm per hour in primigravids. Less than, and that is slow. And in multigravids, if it is less than 2 cm per hour, it is also a slow rate of descent. Okay. So yung protraction refers to the rate. Okay. Yung prolongation refers to the phase of labor kasi meron siyang expected duration. Okay. Now, arrest. Arrest means no further change, no further progress in dilatation or descent over a given period. So wala na. Nothing is happening anymore. Okay, let's go to the details of it, no? Okay. You know, these disorders can happen during any division of labor. Are you familiar with the divisions of labor? 'Di ba? Meron tayong preparatory, dilatational, and pelvic division. How do you know if the patient is in the preparatory or the dilatational or the pelvic division? You will know that based on their cervical dilatation. Okay? So, for 0 to 5 centimeters cervical dilatation, the patient is in the preparatory phase. 6 to 8 cm cervical dilatation, that dilatational phase. And then 9 to 10 cm, and second stage, that's already full cervical dilatation. Pelvic division yon. Okay. So you can see here on the graph here on the left, no? This is familiar to you, di ba? Friedman ito eh. Friedman's functional division of labor. You see they're color-coded, no? To match the abnormality in that particular stage. Okay, during the preparatory division, which is in green, no? The main event here is cervical effacement. Very little dilatation happens. You can see here naman, oh, yung rate of dilatation almost flat. During the dilatational division, okay, what happens? The main event is dilatational, so cervical dilatation. Very fast, okay? Very little change in descent. Okay? Now, here in the pelvic division, okay, you see that the patient, the cervical dilatation would have reached 10 centimeters. And the main event here is the rapid descent. Okay. And this is also where where the cardinal movements of labor that you studied before, this is where they will happen, not at the beginning. Okay. So it's in the pelvic division when the cardinal movements happen. Okay. So, this table will show you the different abnormalities for each division of labor. And then we also have the criteria. No? When do we call it prolonged latent or protracted cervical dilatation? Take note, no? Nagdi-differ ang criteria depending on parity. Okay? So, ano bang dapat yung tandaan? Isang abnormality for latent, dalawa for dilatational, and then five for the pelvic division, total of 8 abnormalities. Okay? Yan, sige. So, what is causing all these abnormalities? Okay, we already mentioned it in the introduction. It's because of abnormal powers, abnormal passageway, and abnormal passenger. Okay. It can be an abnormality in one or a combination of the abnormalities. So ano ba yung abnormal powers? These are the forces that are necessary for cervical dilatation and descent. Okay, ito yan, tatlo. For abnormal passageway, it refers to the pelvis. Okay? And the abnormal passenger is actually the fetus. Okay? So, you will see that if there's an abnormality in the passageway and the passenger, the cardinal movements will not proceed. If there's an abnormality in the powers, the cervical dilatation and descent will not proceed. Okay? So, ang importante sa dilatation will be the powers. Okay, so we will discuss each of the P's, no? Okay, so we start with abnormal powers. Tatlo lang tatandaan nyo. Uterine contractions. I have to be careful with contractions kasi minsan nasasabi ko siyang contractors. Okay, so uterine contractions, hindi uterine contractors. Okay, so uterine contractions, the force of the amniotic sac, and the abdominal contractions of the mother, which is significant only in the second stage. Okay, among the three, the most crucial for labor to progress would be uterine contractions. Okay, so normally, ano bang nangyayari sa uterine contractions normally? It is the upper segment that contracts. Remember the upper segment? Okay, so when the upper segment contracts, okay, it will lead to cervical dilatation. And there are actually three mechanisms. Number one, the lower segment is pulled up during the contraction, and so it pulls the cervix and it dilates the cervix. It's number one. Number two, the amniotic sac, no, when there's a contraction, pressure builds up inside the amniotic sac. So there is hydrostatic pressure, and that pressure is transmitted to the cervix to help it open. Okay? And number three is the wedge effect of the fetal head. When the upper segment contracts, the head goes down and it pushes open the cervix. So that's the wedge effect. So kailangan yan tatlong mechanisms na yan for cervical dilatation. For descent, okay, every time the uterus contracts, it pushes the fetus downwards. So it actually facilitates the descent of the fetal head. Okay? And itong contractions na to, they increase in strength, they increase in frequency, and they become longer as the labor progresses. You don't see the very strong contractions at the start. Kasi nga, nagpe-prepare yan. Kumbaga parang may warm up until once they reach the active phase or the dilatational division and the pelvic division, dun na siya malakas. Okay? So the preparatory is just warm up. So the contractions are not very strong in the preparatory division. Okay, so you will see that for every phase of labor, merong corresponding strength and duration and frequency of contractions. The strongest and the longest and the most frequent will be in the second stage. Okay? Now, okay. What will be the abnormalities in the uterine contractions? Dalawa lang yan. The contractions could be hypotonic or there could be tachysystole. These abnormalities are opposites of each other. So, hypotonic is very weak. Tachysystole is the opposite. Very strong naman, pero hindi coordinated ang forces ng uterine contraction. And so, both of them are ineffective to dilate the cervix. Okay? So, you will know that the contraction is hypotonic kasi the patient does not complain of pain at all. So, parang, nag-labor ka ba o hindi? Yon, no? So, maybe because the contractions are not strong, that's why they don't experience pain. Usually, we encounter hypotonic contractions in the active phase. Tachysystole is usually during the latent phase. So if you are monitoring, ito yung number of contractions that you will see. Normally, there should be 5 in 10 minutes. Meaning, every 2 minutes during the active phase and onwards. But if the contractions are less than 5 in 10, okay, or more than 5 in 10, they become abnormal. Okay, so this is the usual way to monitor. You sit beside the patient, you put your hand on the fundus, and then you gauge, no, if the contractions are strong, if they are, how often they are coming in. Okay, so yan yung manual palpation. That was what we used to do when we were residents, no? Years ago. So anong ibig sabihin yan? Until the patient delivers, your hand does not go away from her abdomen. Di ba? O, na ganun yon. But now, we're more modern. We hook the patient to a machine that will monitor her uterine contractions. Okay? This is the machine. So, meron yan transducers hooked to the patient. And then the machine will come out with an output. What is the output? The tracing, like this. So, if you're familiar with the ECG, familiar ba kayo sa ECG? Ganyan. Parang ganyan din, no? Meron din kaming tracing, di ba? Kaya lang, itong tracing na to, okay, we are able to record the fetal heart on the upper portion, fetal heart rate, and then the uterine contractions on the lower portion. This will be the picture of the normal tracing in a normal CTG. Ito, latent phase to. So you expect the contractions here. Latent phase yan. So the contractions are irregular and then they are weak, hindi mataas, no? Compare it with this one, which was taken in the second stage. Almost manganganak na. Look at the contractions. The amplitude is very high. And then they come in one after the other. And then may prolongation, no, of the contractions. This is in the second stage. All right? So, paano nyo malalaman kung abnormal? O tingnan nyo muna kung ano yung phase of labor. So, if for example, you're looking at a patient, 6 centimeters, active phase na yan. So, dapat madalas na yung contractions. And you see contractions like this, no? You call this hypotonic dysfunction or hypotonic uterine contractions. On the other hand, if you're monitoring a patient in the latent phase, halimbawa 2 cm lang siya, and you see contractions like this, di ba dapat ito nandito na to sa second stage? But you are seeing them in the latent phase, that is abnormal. Okay, that is tachysystole. Alright. So, again, tabulate the causes. Okay, mostly ang causes ng hypotonic dysfunction is in the myometrium, no? The myometrium is muscle. If you overstretch it, ginagamit siya palagi kasi repeated yung pregnancies, or it is overstretched as a result of twin pregnancies or multiple gestations or polyhydramnios or a large macrosomic fetus, the myometrium is overdistended, it will not contract adequately. Okay. If your patient has already gone through a very long labor, okay, syempre the muscle will give. 'Di ba? Parang kayo din, patakbuhin kayo ng matagal, yung muscles nyo, yung gastrocnemius, leg muscles, etc., they get tired and so they will not contract anymore. Okay, so that is for hypotonic. Yung tachysystole naman, Okay? It is a result of excessive oxytocin stimulation and abruptio placenta. Okay? So, okay, you can see there are so many risks to tachysystole. So when you see tachysystole, you also have to be alarmed. Okay, so how do we treat hypotonic dysfunction? Dalawa. We use oxytocin in a process called augmentation of labor. And we also rupture the bag. Okay, so paano yun? Okay, this is oxytocin. Oxytocin is called a uterotonic. Uterotonic means it's an agent that enhances contraction of the uterus. Okay, there is oxytocin in the body, like it or not, comes from the posterior pituitary. But in a patient who is in labor, sometimes the supply is not enough. So we have to supplement. So we have to give an IV infusion of synthetic oxytocin. Okay? So ayan, ganyan. Bibigay natin siya. Okay? And then we will monitor if the contractions improve. You have to do strict monitoring during oxytocin augmentation. Dapat nakadikit kayo, minomonitor nyo ang contractions because there could be several complications. Yan, water intoxication, excessive contractions, or tachysystole. As you can see, we mentioned that's that's a cause of tachysystole. It can it can lead to fetal distress or even the catastrophic uterine rupture. Okay? So, as students, pag sinabi ng resident or ng consultant, sige, mag-start na kayo ng oxytocin infusion. Please do not leave the patient. Monitor the patient. Okay? All right. Now, the other way to remedy hypotonic contractions is to rupture the membranes. It's called amniotomy. Okay, we have an instrument to rupture the membranes. Okay, it is believed that the amniotic fluid contains prostaglandins. So when it is released, it will enhance the uterine contractions. Kasi ang prostaglandin ay uterotonic din. Okay? Now, another mechanism by which amniotomy helps is when the membranes are ruptured, the water comes out, and then the head goes down, and it exerts the wedge effect on the cervix. So, mag-i-improve yung dilatation of the cervix. Okay? So, two mechanisms. Now, with amniotomy, you have to be careful because the risk is cord prolapse. Okay, the cord could insinuate itself between the head and the membrane. Pag ni-rupture nyo yan, may pressure yan, it will force the cord to come out and prolapse. Okay, this is an emergency. This will require cesarean delivery. Okay? So, yon. Now, the other force, which is the maternal expulsive force, it's also called the bearing down powers. Okay. Please, this is only significant in the second stage. Second stage. Pag umabot na siya ng 10 centimeters, doon pa lang siya iire, and it is usually timed with a contraction. The purpose is to join all the forces together to have a very strong force that will facilitate descent of the fetal head. O, di ba? Second stage, descent na yon kasi fully dilated na. So, magjo-join ang uterine power and maternal bearing down to force the descent of the baby. Okay. You don't do that in the latent phase. What will happen? Kakarating pa lang ng pasyente, 2 centimeters pa lang, pinapairi nyo na. Do you think she will have the energy to do that in the second stage? No. No, fatigue na yon. So, hindi na siya makakairi. And that's useless. It's useless in the first stage of labor. It's only useful in the second stage of labor. Okay? So, pag nakadinig kayo sa labor room ng nagpapaire, ibig sabihin nun, ay, fully dilated na. Okay? So, that's the implication. Okay? If she cannot bear down, then she has to rest. And then she has to be coached. Okay? You're beside the patient, you're telling her, okay, Mrs., nag-uumpisa na po ang contractions. Ito na, malakas na yung contraction. Sige, umpisahan mo ng umire, sustain it for 10 seconds, or maybe even 20 kung kaya mo. Okay? So, yun yung pagsabay-sabay ng contractions. If she cannot, no, and you are already seeing that the head is already almost there, station +5 na, pero hindi siya talaga makaire, what can be done is an extraction, vacuum or forceps extraction. And this is how we do it, no? We apply the instruments on the fetal head. This is vacuum, this is forceps. Ay, baligtad. This is forceps, this is vacuum. Okay? And these instruments will what? Will will create traction kasi hahatakin yan so that the head will descend. Okay? Yan. Pero remember, you cannot do this. You cannot do this left and right because you have to follow certain criteria for the safe use of the forceps and the vacuum. Okay? Of course, there can be complications. Fetal trauma, lacerations on the vagina, the cervix, and even hematomas. So be careful also. But this is one option to remedy inadequate maternal expulsive force. Okay? So, punta na tayo sa passageway. The passageway is abnormal if the pelvis is contracted or small, if there are tumors that block the way of the fetus into the pelvic canal, or if there is so much resistance from the muscles, the fat, and the bladder, no, in the pelvic canal. So, pag meron ito, okay, what will happen? The cardinal movements cannot proceed. Ano nga yung cardinal movements? 'Di ba merong engagement, descent, and then flexion, internal rotation, extension, expulsion. Yan, di ba? You should know that. Okay? So this will not proceed. The movements will not proceed if the passageway is contracted. You see here, no, in the picture, this is a uterus showing you the baby, and then there's a myoma here. You see the myoma, it's actually blocking the opening of the cervix, no? So how do you expect the baby to pass through the cervix if there's something blocking it? Okay? So in this condition, we call it tumor previa. Okay? It can be a myoma, it can be an ovarian cyst. But if it goes ahead, kaya nga previa means ahead. Ahead of the presenting part, it's called tumor previa. So in this condition, cesarean yan. There's no room for vaginal delivery. Okay, the normal pelvis. The normal pelvis, we call it the gynecoid pelvis. Okay? Because the shape and the measurements of the gynecoid pelvis are very ideal for the normal fetal head. Okay? All the other pelvic configurations are abnormal, no? They can delay the labor or maybe even arrest it. So ano yon? Platypeloid. You see the configuration here? Okay, wide platypeloid, parang flat, no? Flat yung AP diameter, wide yung transverse. An anthropoid pelvis, long AP diameter, short transverse diameter, and an android pelvis, which is heart-shaped. All right, these are the abnormal types of pelvis. Okay, so this is the measurements that you have to know because these are the planes in the pelvis that are critical for the fetal head to pass through. So in the inlet, your most important measurement is the obstetric conjugate, no? Tatlo yan. There's diagonal, there's obstetric, and there's the true conjugate. But you see here, the shortest one is the obstetrical conjugate. Kaya siya yung pinaka-critical diameter. Kasi baka hindi magkasya dito yung head. No? Okay, and this is the midplane. Okay, this is the midplane. Okay, if these areas are contracted, including the outlet, cardinal movements cannot proceed. Hindi makaka-rotate, hindi makaka-flex, hindi makaka-internal rotation, extension, etc. Okay, so how do we diagnose it? Okay, from history alone, you already can have a suspicion. Ano yon? Ay, ito, first time niya. Okay, so baka contracted yung pelvis niya. Obese. Okay, obese. Short stature. A short woman cannot have a big pelvis, no? So a short woman will also have a small pelvis. Okay, history of fracture in the pelvis, a previous difficult delivery of an average size baby. Ito na yon, risk factors to. This will make you suspect that you might be dealing with an abnormal or a contracted pelvis. But you can do an examination to determine that. We call it the clinical pelvimetry. Clinical kasi ginagawa ginagawa without the use of any gadgets or anything, only the hands and the fingers. Okay? So we measure the inlet, the midplane, and the outlet. Okay? So this is how we do it. Like for inlet, no, what we measure is the diagonal conjugate. So remember a while ago, I said tatlo yon for the inlet, diagonal conjugate, obstetric conjugate, and the true conjugate. The true conjugate, you cannot reach that with your fingers. So hindi natin siya mame-measure. The obstetric conjugate, you cannot reach that with the fingers. Hindi rin mame-measure. So we're left with the diagonal conjugate, which we can measure clinically using our fingers, okay, by touching the sacral promontory and then taking note of the measurement from the promontory to the lower border of the symphysis pubis. Okay. Ano ba yung normal diagonal conjugate? It should be more than 11.5. So that means 12. Okay, bakit yun ang number? Because when you subtract 1.5 to 2 cm from the diagonal conjugate, you will be able to get the measurement of the obstetric conjugate. Okay? Ano ibig sabihin? Indirect pala yung pag-measure ng obstetric conjugate, no? We cannot measure it directly. So kailangan tingnan muna natin yung diagonal conjugate and then subtract the 1.5 to 2 cm. If you get a measurement that is more than 10 centimeters, okay, that means the obstetric conjugate is normal. Okay. So, saan ba nanggaling yung mga numbers na yan? Those numbers are actually based on the diameter of the fetal head that will pass through the obstetric conjugate. Anong diameter yon? Yung biparietal diameter, which measures normally at 9.5. So you need a space of 10 cm and above for that diameter to pass through. Okay, did you get it? So kailangan yung relationships nung head ng baby at saka yung size ng pelvis. So yung 10 cm obstetric conjugate is enough for a biparietal diameter of 9.5 centimeters to pass through. Okay? Yan. So now, ito naman yung pag-measure ng midplane. You also use your fingers. So the bispinous diameter is the most important measurement. It should be at least 10. Again, in the midplane, anong dadaan dyan na diameter? It's the biparietal diameter of the head, which is 9.5. So para dumaan siya, dapat mas malaki yung bispinous diameter than the biparietal diameter. Okay? Yan. Usually, if the midplane is contracted, the outlet is also contracted. So, ang importante lang talaga, inlet midplane to assess. Okay? Now, reminder lang, there are other ways to measure the pelvis, no? So, before, we were using x-ray, pero pasay na yon. Kasi sabi nila, kahit contracted naman yung x-ray, lumalabas din yung baby eh. So, it's not reliable. But now, they're investigating the role of MRI and also ultrasound to measure. But these are all not done in our setting, in the clinical sense, no? Kasi expensive. At saka kasi, ah, at saka kasi, the baby, no? Even if the pelvis is contracted, there can be certain mechanisms in the baby to adjust the size of the fetal head. So, one mechanism is molding. Ano yung molding? The sutures of the fetal head, they overlap. O, di ba pag nag-overlap yon, liliit ng konti yung size ng head. So, that is possible, no? Molding. The other one is asynclitism. Ano yon? The fetal head can flex left and right, no? Para lumiit yung diameter na dadaan dun sa contracted area. And sometimes, they are successful, no? So, it is said, no? This is a basic principle, no? Even if the pelvis appears contracted on your examination or even on MRI or even on ultrasound, you still do not believe it, you subject the patient to a trial of labor. Palaborin nyo pa rin. Because you'll never know. During the labor, the fetus can adjust, okay? And the fetus might be delivered vaginally. So the best test to detect the adequacy of the pelvis is a trial of labor, not a cesarean delivery. Okay? Yan. Sige. I hope that is clear. So pag nakakita kayo ng, uy, contracted ng pelvis na to, you cannot say, CS ka na. No. You have to go through a trial of labor. Okay? And these are the causes of the different abnormalities in the passageway. Okay? And these are the diagnostic procedures. Okay, take note ha. Okay, because again, no, to emphasize lang, the assessment of the pelvis is not accurate, but there could be adjustments in the fetal head. So you have to give that woman the benefit of the doubt. So you have to subject her to a trial of labor, even if your measurement of the pelvis is contracted on clinical pelvimetry. Okay, clear? Now let's go to the baby, the passenger. Okay. So, if the passenger is abnormal because it is malpresented, malpositioned, it is very large, or the baby's body has tumors, or the head is very big, like in hydrocephalus, or if there are twins or even triplets, okay, the cardinal movements will not be possible. The wedge effect, hindi mo alam ano yung papasok dun sa cervix, wedge effect, no? Nawawala din yon. So it affects the cardinal movements and also sometimes the cervical dilatation. Okay. Ano yung malpresentation? Malpresentation refers to any of the following: an abnormal lie, an abnormal presentation, and an abnormal attitude. Familiar na kayo dito, no? You have heard this before in the lecture, okay? So yan, abnormal lie, abnormal presentation, abnormal attitude. The normal presentation should be a longitudinal lie, cephalic, and vertex presentation. So vertex presentation. We will have a separate discussion on malpresentation. So later ko na yan i-discuss. Let's go to the malpositioning. Okay. The normal head position is occiput anterior. Ito yon, occiput anterior. Di ba? This is the reason why the head rotates, no? The head rotates to occiput anterior so that the next movement which is extension, the next cardinal movement which is extension of the fetal head can proceed. So, hindi makaka-proceed yung extension pag hindi siya naka-occiput anterior. Alright? So, early in labor, the fetus does not present right away as occiput anterior. So, pwede siyang occiput transverse or occiput posterior. But later in the labor, especially in the pelvic division, it should become occiput anterior. So, persistent occiput transverse or persistent occiput posterior positions are abnormal because the cardinal movements will not proceed. Okay, there's another type of malpositioning. It is called asynclitism. Okay. Normally, when the head descends in the inlet, kung kasyang-kasya siya in that space, in the obstetric conjugate, the space will be so adequate that the head will be positioned almost midway in that space. Okay? But sometimes, no, the inlet is not really that roomy. Okay? So, anong gagawin ng head? Okay? Sometimes, yung nababump siya dun sa promontory or nababump siya dito sa symphysis pubis. And so, when it bumps on any of those, no, that part of the head that bumps stays there as is. So, nafe-flex siya. And then, the other portion is the one that goes inside, no? The one that goes inside. Okay. Kung maliit lang yung head, sometimes, as it descends, it can become like this again, synclitic. No? In other words, makakadaan na siya. Kasi lumiit yung diameter eh. Pagka naka-lateral flexion, liliit yung diameter ng head that will pass through the inlet. So sometimes, nakaka-go yan. No? But, if the head, if the inlet is really contracted, that head cannot go through. Forever na siyang naka-arrest dito sa ganitong posisyon. Nakabump siya dun sa promontory or sa symphysis pubis permanently. And what happens to the area that goes down? It will develop a very big caput. Tapos, hindi na yan magiging synclitic. So that means labor will arrest, the cardinal movements will not progress. So this is synclitism, asynclitism. You can look at it from the point of view of adjustment. Kasi para siyang ganun, no? Para siyang gumaganon-ganon siya habang pumapasok sa inlet. No? It's trying to get its way into the inlet. But sometimes, if the contraction is really severe, hanggang ganun lang siya. Hindi na siya mag-move back and forth to become synclitic again. Okay? So yan. So you have to be familiar with anterior asynclitism, posterior asynclitism. It only tells you which parietal bone is more accessible when you do an internal examination. So anterior asynclitism means the anterior parietal bone or the leading part of the head is the one that you are feeling, no? Okay, posterior asynclitism, again, the leading part, but it's the posterior parietal. So you will know kung saan siya sumabit. Kung sa promontory ba or sa symphysis pubis. Okay? So, what if hinayaan mo to? Hinayaan mo, sabi mo, sige nga, observe pa tayo, observe, no? There will come a time when the uterus will thin out excessively. Tapos, kasi hindi naman to talaga mag-yield eh. Hindi talaga to bibigay. What will happen is the uterus is the one that will suffer. The lower uterine segment will become so thinned out and then eventually rupture of the uterus will happen. Okay? So yan. So dapat hindi pinapatagal din yung mga abnormalities. Okay. In large baby, macrosomic baby, ang cut-off namin is 4 kilograms. So a 4 kilogram baby, kung sigurado kayong more than 4 kilos yan, do not subject them to labor anymore. Okay? Kasi baka magkaroon ng shoulder dystocia yan. Hydrocephalus, a big head like this, do you think that will pass through the passageway? Hindi, because the dimensions of the head are more than the dimensions of a normal pelvis. Ayan din, other tumors that you can see in the baby that can cause an abnormality and a delay in the labor. So how do we diagnose? Okay, PE, Lupol's maneuver for the presentation and the lie. So you will know that. Yung mga sa inyo na nag-precept na, familiar na kayo dito sa Lupol's maneuver. You take the fundic height so that you can determine the size, no? We call it the Johnson's formula to determine the size. The pelvic examination. So you will see here, no? Ano ba yung nakakapa mo? Head ba talaga yun? O baka naman puwet yun, breech. Or baka shoulder. So when you do a pelvic exam, you will know that. And of course, if you have doubt, you can use the ultrasound. So the ultrasound will tell you if the passenger is malpositioned, malpresented, if it is large, or if there are abnormalities. Okay, so here, management. How do we manage? All right. You can see here, no? Parang outright CS for shoulder presentation, face presentation, na mentum posterior, a breech footling, and a breech primigravid, a large baby, fetal macrosomia, higher order pregnancy beyond twins, triplets, quadruplets, quintuplets. Okay, so kasi yan yung contraindications to labor because you will expect a lot of fetal morbidity, a lot of maternal morbidity and mortality if you subject those conditions to labor. Okay? So dapat CS na yon. So you can see here in the management. So sino ba yung pwede nating i-vaginal? Yung breech na I'll go to that later. Okay? So again, to summarize, we have the 3 Ps, abnormal powers, passageway, passenger. You have to assess all this when you are monitoring the labor. Okay? Kasi baka isa dyan or a combination of the 3 will be the reason for the abnormal labor. So when you diagnose it, then you look for a solution or a potential probable management so you can correct the abnormality. But usually here sa passenger, mahirap na siyang i-correct, no? Passageway, ang hirap din namang i-correct. Can you correct a contracted pelvis? No. But the abnormal powers, you can correct. Okay? So yan. So, how do we diagnose labor? Okay. We do serial monitoring of the cervical effacement and dilatation. We do serial monitoring of the station and the position of the fetal head. And then we construct a partogram. Okay. Be familiar with the word partogram. Okay? So, how do we diagnose abnormal labor? We diagnose it by assessing the powers, the passenger, the passageway, which we already talked about earlier. Okay? Pero very important here is the partogram. Components ng partogram, cervical dilatation, station, and position. Okay? Ito yon. Ito yon. Okay? It's actually here. It's actually this Friedman's functional division of labor. 'Di ba? Ito yung cervical dilatation curve and this is the descent curve. Okay? 'Di ba? So you can see this should be the pattern of the descent and the dilatation for labor to become normal and for vaginal delivery to happen. Okay? This one on the right is what you do when you are monitoring the patient. This is the partogram, no? Okay, so tingnan nyo yan. Okay, compare, ito yun, no? Cervical dilatation. Ito yun. Ito yung descent curve. Okay? So we use notations for cervical dilatation and for station. Ano yung notation natin for dilatation? X. So every time you do your internal examination, no? Halimbawa, nag-examine ka. Initially, nakita mo 3 cm siya. Ipa-plot mo na yung point na yon with an X because that's her cervical dilatation. And you continue to plot the succeeding findings on your internal examination. And you connect them with a line para makita mo yung rate, yung line ng cervical dilatation and you compare it with the one in the Friedman's curve. Okay? Now, yun namang station, that is for the descent. Okay? Ipa-plot mo rin siya together with the cervical dilatation. So, dapat lagi silang mag-pair. So, every time an examination is made, the findings are plotted on the grid. Okay? So, ito naman, 0 yung ginagamit na points for the descent. Okay. You will see here below, the numbers refer to the hours of labor. So, ganong katagal na ba nagle-labor yung patient mo? So, you will know it from here. Now, on the left, no, y-axis will tell you the dilatation of the cervix in centimeters. Okay? So, kung naghahanap kayo ng saan nyo ipaplat yung dilatation, dito kayo titingin sa kaliwa. Okay, on the right will be the station. And this one would refer to the numbers or the station for descent. So pag nagpa-plot naman kayo ng descent, dito kayo titingin. Itatapat nyo kung station 0 siya, station -1, station -2. Dito naman yon sa kabila. Okay? Okay, so look at this curve. May kwento tong curve na to, ha? And this is the kwento. The patient was admitted on her 4th hour of labor. O, kasi 4 hours, di ba? 4th hour of labor at 3 centimeters cervical dilatation, station -2. Okay, so yan yung kwento niya. Di ba? Okay, so her labor progressed and at the 10th hour, ano na nangyari sa cervical dilatation? Ito na, 10 centimeters na. Okay. Endpoint na yon, 'di ba? Endpoint na. And the station is now station 0. Okay? Now, 2 hours later, Oh, on the 12th hour of labor, what happened? Okay, uh, the head descended to station +5. Tama? +5. Tama ba? Are you following? Okay, so on the 12th hour of labor, she is 10 centimeters cervical dilatation, station +5. Okay, compare nyo nga yan dito. Tingin nyo ba nanganak yan? Nanganak, no? Kasi na-reach na niya yung max. 10 centimeter cervical dilatation and also station +5. So this is a normal partogram. Okay? Yan na, tandaan nyo yan. Kasi later, we will look at the abnormal patterns. Okay, sige. So this is our algorithm. This is how we do it. When you are monitoring, this is how you do it. The patient is in labor. You do the partogram. Okay? So you measure her effacement, dilatation, station, and position of the head. Lalagay nyo yun dun sa partogram. Okay. If the pattern is abnormal, what do you do? Okay, you check the causes. Powers ba ang problema? Passenger ba ang problema? Passageway ba ang problema? So you check, you reassess. Actually, the passageway and the passenger, alam nyo na yan eh, di ba? On admission pa lang, alam nyo na. But sometimes, you might make a mistake or baka the baby suddenly rotated otherwise, no? Nag-iba. So you have to reassess. Reassess. And you also check the powers. Okay? So how do you do that? Sinabi na natin kanina, CTG or manual palpation. So if the powers are inadequate, okay, you manage them, oxytocin, amniotomy. Pag nag-improve, no, yung powers, pero hindi pa rin nag-improve yung labor, in fact, nag-arrest. So there's no more progress. Okay, this is suggestive of cephalopelvic disproportion. Something is wrong with either the passenger or the passageway. Hindi sila compatible. Okay, so there's a disproportion. So we say that there is CPD. And there are also signs that you will see to tell you that you might be dealing with CPD. Ano yon? Excessive kaput. Sobrang kaput. Talagang swollen na yung head, no? Kasi every contraction, pinupush ng uterus, umuuntog siya sa cervix or sa vagina. So, nagsuswell yon excessively. Severe molding. The overlapping of the sutures is so much. Dapat not more than 1 cm overlap. Okay? There could be edema of the cervix, edema of the vulva, ang laki-laki ng vulva pag nakita nyo, or there could be a pathologic retraction ring. I will discuss this later because this one is a sign of impending uterine rupture. Okay? Pwedeng mag-rupture ang uterus pag pinabayaan ang labor mag-progress and there is CPD. Okay? O yan, sige, tingnan natin to. Let's see if you can recognize the pattern. What's the kwento here? The patient, okay, at term, multigravid to, multigravid, at term, was admitted on her 3rd hour of labor at 3 centimeters 2 centimeters cervical dilatation. 2 yan, di ba? Okay, and then with station -3. Okay, so yan yon. She was observed. Okay, ang tagal niya. She was observed until her 15th hour. May nangyari ba? Wala, no? No change at all. So what do you call this abnormality? This patient is in the latent phase. So ano yung abnormality in the latent phase or in the preparatory division? There's only one. Prolonged latent. Okay? And the definition is, in a multipara, more than 14 hours of labor, no change. Hindi siya lumabas sa latent phase. Hindi siya nag-active phase. More than 14 hours. This patient is gravida 3, multipara yan. 15 hours ang labor niya. So, pasok na ba siya sa criteria for prolonged latent? Yes. Okay? Now, you look for the reason. Baka naman hindi yan nagle-labor. Diba? O baka naman binigyan nyo ng sangkatutak na pampatulog. Okay? Kasi para hindi niya ma-feel yung contractions. But she's saying her pain is very, very mild. So maybe she is not really in labor. So in this condition, ire-rest lang natin siya. Maybe we will tell her, sige, you go home and monitor. Pagka talagang naging regular na yung contractions mo and there's pain, then you can come back. Okay? But please take note ha, never do a cesarean section in prolonged latent phase. Never. Okay? Yan. Okay, how about this? Okay, isa lang tong pasyente, pero sinundan natin yung labor curve. Ito yung initial labor curve ni patient. Primi-gravid. She was admitted at, 3 centimeters, cervical dilatation station -3. And after some time, her labor progressed to 6 centimeters, cervical dilatation, station -3, pero ilan? 2 hours na, hindi pa rin nag-change yung cervical dilatation. Okay, 2 hours na. What is the rate of cervical dilatation in a preemie-gravid? Per hour, the cervix should dilate at 1.2. Tama ba? 1.2 cm per hour. Oh, ito bang patient na to, nag-dilate ba siya ng 1.2 cm per hour? Hindi, di ba? Zero. Zero. Zero cervical dilatation in 2 hours. Okay? So that is what we call protraction. Protraction kasi less than 1.2 cm per hour cervical dilatation. Okay. So, nangyari in the dilatational division kasi 6 cms na siya. So, is this protraction? Yes. Okay. Bakit naman hindi arrest? Kasi, pagka merong criteria for arrest, it should be, 4 hours of good contractions or 6 hours inadequate contractions tapos no change. So, yan yung criteria na susundin natin. So, what should we do here in this patient? Okay, 2 hours na siya. What should we do? I-check natin. Check natin yung 3-piece, no? So, nakita, look at this. Irregular yung contractions niya at 6 cms. Irregular pala siya. So, what do we do? What do we give? Intact pa yung bag. So, di ba, ang solution dyan, improve the powers, rupture the bag, and then give oxytocin. Okay? So, yun ang ginawa dito sa susunod na graph. Continuation lang naman. So, nandito tayo. At this point, nag-amniotomy, nag-start ng oxytocin. Okay, nag-improve, pero still, the cervix was pegged at 1, 2, 3, 4. Good contractions, 4 hours, no change. Pasok ba siya sa definition ng arrest in cervical dilatation? Yan no progress after 4 hours of good contractions. So that is arrest in cervical dilatation. So that is the abnormality. Okay, ano ba yung possible etiologies? Ayun na nga, baka nga mahina yung powers, sobra yung anesthesia, kasi kung may infection din, the myometrium does not want to contract if it's infected. Okay, so yan yung mga possible causes. So i-correct nyo muna if there's something that you can correct. If na-correct nyo na, and yet, ganun pa rin, labor did not progress, then you can claim, there might be CPD. And the management for CPD is cesarean section. Okay? Mahirap ba o madali? Hindi. Nakakatito lang ito because you really have to memorize the parameters. Okay? But you can see the pattern, no? Unang-una, tingnan nyo lang. Which part of labor nangyari? Is it the preparatory, dilatational, or pelvic? Kung na-identify nyo na based on the cervical dilatation, it happened in the dilatational division, then you look at the abnormalities that could happen during the dilatational division. And those are protracted and arrest cervical dilatation. Okay? Ganun lang yon. That's how to do it. All right. Ito naman. Anong kwento nito? Primi-gravid term. Asa na siya? Ito na yung niya. Ito na yung latest findings niya. What is the 13th hour of labor? Tapos 9 centimeters. Cervical dilatation station -3. What is this? For 1, 2, 3, 3 hours. So 9 cm is already pelvic division. Okay, that's already pelvic division. 9 cm siya. Ano ba yung normal? Anong phase na to? Actually, specifically, no, pelvic division specifically, kasi 9 cm lang, this is deceleration phase. Hindi pa siya 10. It's just deceleration phase. Okay, definition. Pagka gravida 1, more than 3 hours, yun yung prolonged deceleration. Pag multipara, 1 hour lang. Pag lumampas siya ng 1 hour, prolonged na siya. So this one is already 3 hours. Walang nangyayari. So this is classified as prolonged deceleration. Okay, remember, you're already in the pelvic division, 9 cm na yan. So ito na lang ang mga pagpipilian yung abnormalities. Okay? Yan. So if there's CPD, okay. If there is CPD, na-check nyo na yung 3-piece, CPD siya, okay, then do CS. Otherwise, kung may abnormality in the powers, then you correct it with oxytocin and amniotomy. Okay, so this one is prolonged deceleration phase and there's already an abnormality in the descent kasi sabi natin dapat pag pelvic division, mabilis ang descent. So hindi rin nagbabago yung descent. So we call it failure in descent. Okay, so tingnan natin yon. Okay, mamaya. A little later. Babalik tayo doon. This one is the patient reached full cervical dilatation, but the descent did not progress. She remained in station -2 for 2 hours. So, pasok na siya dito sa definition, di ba? Dapat kasi nagde-descend siya ng at least 1 cm per hour. So, but the descent happened above station 0. Ito, above station 0. Kasi above station 0, ang nangyayari pa lang diyang dapat engagement pa lang yan eh. Wala pa tayong, dapat mag-engage muna before mag-descend. So if it does not engage because the head is above station 0, then that means descent cannot happen because that's the sequence of the cardinal movements. Dapat mag-engage muna and then mag-descend. Malalaman nyo na hindi nag-engage kasi station above 0. So how can descent progress? So hindi. So we will call this failure of descent. Okay? And if that is because of CPD, okay, the management is cesarean section. All right. Okay, so differentiate natin ngayon yung arrest in descent and failure in descent. These are two abnormalities in descent. When do you call it failure? When the station is above station 0. When do you call it arrest? When the station is below 0. Meaning, nag-engage na. So, dapat, nagde-descend na siya. Okay? Kasi pagka lower than station 0. So, pag hindi siya nag-descend, below station 0, then that means it's an arrest in descent. Usually, CPD yan ang problema. Okay. Pero baka naman mamaya hindi lang makairi si mami, pairihin nyo muna. I-correct nyo muna yung powers ni mami. And if after correcting everything, nothing happens, then that could be because of CPD. So, cesarean section is warranted. Okay, this is just to summarize everything. Okay, just a few reminders. Okay, a prolonged latent phase is not an indication for cesarean delivery. Okay, in-emphasize ko na yan. A slow but progressive labor, meaning a protracted disorder, is not an indication for cesarean delivery kasi may progress pa. Okay? Active labor. So ano ang nagiging indication for cesarean delivery? Arrest. Arrest disorder. If all the 3Ps have been corrected. Okay? Active labor begins at 6 centimeters, not 4. Okay? So this is the beginning of active labor, the beginning of active phase, 6 centimeters. Okay? So, cesarean delivery for active phase arrest should be reserved for women at or beyond 6 cms. Dapat umabot ng 6 cms. Cervical dilatation with ruptured membranes who failed to progress despite 4 hours of adequate uterine contractions or at least 6 hours of oxytocin administration, tapos kahit pangit pa rin yung contractions, pero 6 hours mo nang binibigay, hindi mo pa na-correct, then that will already be an indication for cesarean delivery. Okay? So, indication for cesarean delivery, dapat umabot ng 6 cm, ruptured ang membranes, tapos no change for 4 hours with good uterine contractions, or no change for 6 hours with 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 without good uterine contractions, 4 hours with good uterine contractions and no progress. And no progress. Okay? So I think ano lang to, in-emphasize ko lang, but I already talked about this in the previews. On the other extreme, hindi naman tayo slow. Precipitate ang tawag natin. Super bilis. Okay? Siguro kung nadekan kayo, nadek sa inyo yung patient na ganito, baka you will be happy, no? Kasi sabihin nyo, ay, tapos agad, nanganak na sa akin. So wala na akong imo-monitor. But actually, you should not be happy because nakakatakot din to. Precipitate labor means 3 hours or less from the start of the regular contractions to delivery. So the partogram will look like this. Tingnan nyo, it will look like this. Admitted on the second hour, regular contractions, nanganak after 2 hours. Okay? That is precipitate labor. And that's associated with so many problems in the mother and in the baby. Sometimes death can happen, no? Or sometimes hindi nyo makakatch yung baby kasi ang bilis niya lumabas, nalaglag on the floor. Okay? So kailangan you have to be aware, no? Meron bang warning signs yan? Yes. If you see a mother who is gravida 6, yung multiparous, no? Tapos iri ng ire and then super painful contractions, ay nako, baka precipitate labor na yan. All right. And if you monitor, you will get very strong contractions. Tapos, almost tachysystole yung contractions. Okay. When it happens, you have to stop oxytocin if you were giving it. You have to give tocolysis. Ano yung tocolysis? That's the opposite of augmentation. Pipigilan niyo yung contraction. So, you lyse the contractions. You stop it. Okay, or you sedate the mother, or you give oxygen for the baby because that baby will be compromised kasi no chance for blood to flow into the uterus to supply the baby kasi always contracted si uterus. Okay, so you see, it's not really a happy incident, it's also dangerous. All right, so ito yung mga complications that you can experience with abnormal labor. Dami. Postpartum hemorrhage, shoulder dystocia, uterine rupture. These are among the most dreaded, no? Because they can lead to maternal death. On the baby, pwedeng mag-asphyxia, baka poor Apgar, or injuries to the nerve, maka-fracture si baby, karoon ng hematoma. Okay, so all those complications of abnormal labor. So that's the reason why you need to diagnose and you need to give prompt management. Okay, because of all these complications. Let's go to the shoulder dystocia. Ito, exciting to. Akala nyo, lalabas na yung baby kasi lumabas na yung head. Pero, wait. Anong mangyayari? The shoulder will get impacted under the symphysis pubis and that baby cannot be released. Okay? Patay. Hindi ma-deliver si baby. Okay. You don't want to experience the situation kasi pag umabot na kayo doon, ang hirap. You have very little time to think, no? So kailangan yan laging in your mind, you already have the recipe on how to manage shoulder dystocia kasi dapat immediate yung action nyo. Otherwise, the baby will die, na-deliver ang head pero hindi na-deliver ang body. Okay? So ano nangyayari? The shoulder is impacted or trapped under the symphysis pubis. So there's failure of what cardinal movement? Expulsion, di ba? Expulsion of the body. Okay? And this is because the shoulders are very large. And the shoulders are large in, sino? Macrosomic babies, in mothers who are diabetic, or in mothers who are obese. So pag nakita nyo na yung mga warning signs na yan, mag-isip na kayo. Oh no, will I encounter shoulder dystocia when I deliver? Okay, kasi doon pa lang, pwede nyo nang ma-preempt. Baka hindi nyo na siya ipapalabor or isi-CS nyo na siya instead of getting trapped into this particular situation. Do you see the video moving? Nakikita nyo, no? O, di ba? Nakakatakot yan, ha? Tapos ano yan, blue na yung face ng baby, hindi nyo pa ma-deliver. O, wag niyong gagawin to pull on the head excessively. Why? You will damage the nerves and the brachial plexus here. So, hindi nyo yan mailalabas by pulling on the head excessively. Okay? Okay, what you will do is, unang-una, dapat ma-detect nyo kagad kung shoulder dystocia ba yung nangyayari. Lumabas ang head. That head should be delivered actually in 4 or 5 seconds together with the body. Ganon kabilis, no? But sometimes, if the body cannot be delivered, the head is out. The head is out and later on, it retracts, it goes back into the perineum. We call it the turtle sign. Nakakita na ba kayo nung head ng turtle lumalabas dun sa shell tapos babalik ulit sa loob? Ganon siya. Ganon siya. Head comes out and then it retracts. We call it the turtle sign. That's the first sign of shoulder dystocia. Okay, when that happens, please do not pull very hard on the head. Anong gagawin nyo? First step, call for help. Because the management here requires a team effort. Hindi po pwedeng isa lang ang gumagawa ng management. Why? Because you have to call the obstetrician, you have to call the anesthesiologist, tapos you have to call people to assist you to position the mother. Ganyan, no? The first step that you should do, okay, may mga maneuvers kasi. Ano yung mga maneuvers na yon to release the shoulder from impaction? Ito, may external maneuvers, may internal maneuvers, meaning you have to put your hand inside the vagina. Papasok nyo yun, papunta dun sa body of the baby. Internal yon, kaya tinawag na internal. Or there are maneuvers of last resort. Ayaw na natin ito. Ayaw na natin yan because sometimes you end up delivering a very asphyxiated baby or maybe even a dead baby. Okay? And then there are destructive maneuvers which we also do not do anymore kasi yung destruction to the mother or to the baby yan. Okay? So what could you do as a hospitalist? No? Anong pwede niyong gawin? Ito na yung external. Kaya dapat ito ang paggalingan nyo, external maneuvers. Okay? So, what do you do here? First, you put the mother in this position. We call it the Mac Roberts position. Ayan o, naka-fully flexed yung hips, fully flexed yung knees, very close to her abdomen. Yan. Ano nangyayari dyan sa position na yan? With this position, the symphysis pubis retracts upward. So baka ma-release yung shoulder. Okay? Or, number 2 position, sasabayan nyo na din. So, meron kayong ganitong position. Then, you go to number 2, which is the suprapubic pressure. Anong ginagawa ng pressure nyo? You are trying to dislodge, pinupush nyo yung shoulder away from the symphysis pubis. Okay. You know, luckily, pag nagawa nyo lang tong number 1 and number 2, many times, you can already relieve or manage the shoulder dystocia. Successful, no? Very few would progress to the other maneuvers, no? Pero, syempre, dapat alam nyo din yung internal and the other maneuvers. What is the gas skin? You put the mother in this position like this, parang nakaluhod, tapos ano siya, parang dog position, and then you try to deliver the baby. Ito naman, this works because of gravity, no? The weight of the baby, yung gravity, okay, it moves away from the impaction, yung shoulder. So, yan, by gravity. Then, you have the internal maneuvers. Okay, so, ito yan, Woods or Rubin, or you can deliver the posterior arm. I don't want you to be experts here. Gusto ko lang malaman nyo na, ganito pala yun. For example, itong number 4, which is the Rubin's maneuver. Rubin's maneuver. Itong number 4, ipupush yung shoulder ng baby from the back. Tapos itatry kasing i-rotate siya para maalis yung anterior shoulder sa ilalim ng symphysis. So it's like a corkscrew maneuver. Parang corkscrew, paikot-ikot si baby. The opposite of that is the Woods. Yung Woods naman, dito siya tinutulak from the anterior, from the front. Itutulak yung shoulder from the front, iikot naman siya on the reverse side. And the intention is the same, to remove the impaction there on of the shoulder. O, ito namang posterior arm, when you bring out the arm, you decrease the diameter of the shoulder, hopefully makakalabas. Last resort maneuver, all else fails. Bring the baby back inside. Bring the baby back inside. Push the head inside. That's called the Sabanelli maneuver. And then deliver the baby by cesarean section. Easier said than done. Okay? Ayaw na natin ng ganyan kasi ang dami niyang complications. Okay, this last picture, number 8, is just to show you the operator dividing the symphysis pubis. Kasi pag dinivide niya yon, lalaki yung space, madedeflect yung shoulder na impacted, madedeliver yung baby. Pero syempre, di ba, that is destructive to the mother. So usually we don't do that, no? So ito na lang mga ibang maneuvers. The other complication that we said is uterine rupture. Okay, ano ang nagra-rupture? What ruptures is the lower uterine segment. It becomes very thin. It becomes very thin. Tapos, pag manipis na siya, dun siya mag-o-open. It will tear open in the lower uterine segment. You will see that because the upper segment is very thick, the lower segment is very thin, so there is a waistline. You will see that when the mother is lying down like this, ito you see here in the second picture, may para siyang waistline yung uterus. So that's already the pathologic retraction ring or the ring of Bandal. That is an imminent sign of impending uterine rupture. Okay? So, ano pa yung mga signs ng uterine rupture? Yan, sudden pain, hypotension, the fetus loses its station, umaakyat, kasi lumabas na siya ng uterus. Nawala na siya doon, di mo niya makakapa. Vaginal bleeding, and then the fetal parts, you can easily palpate them abdominally kasi nakalabas na siya ng uterus. Or the baby could have bradycardia or die. So it's very life-threatening. You wouldn't want this complication, no? Immediate delivery ang kailangan dyan. And the fetal complications, you see here, excessive swelling, okay, elongation, okay, and then nerve palsies, no? Complication of abnormal labor. So this is just to summarize 8 abnormalities connected to the 3 divisions of labor. You base the abnormality on the partogram that you will create. Okay, in the partogram, if you see an abnormal pattern, you have to check and correct the 3 P's. If they have been corrected and nothing happens, then that's called CPD. That's an indication for cesarean delivery. Okay? All right. Ito, before deciding on cesarean delivery for dystocia, prerequisites, we already mentioned it. 6 cm dapat, ruptured bag. Power should be adequate. Indication is an arrest disorder, not a protraction and not a prolonged latent. Okay? That is the summary. Meron pa ba kayong energy, guys? Tayo nga muna kayo. Ako din, gusto ko din tumayo. Kasi sakit na ng likod ko. This is 1 hour of prolonged sitting. Okay. So I said we will discuss a little on malpresentation. This is an abnormal passenger, no? Abnormal passenger yan. So ang purpose lang naman natin is to be able to diagnose, no? And then propose a management for malpresentation. All right. We said earlier, malpresentation could refer to any of the following, either an abnormal lie, an abnormal presentation, and an abnormal attitude. Okay, so i-discuss natin yung bridge presentation, shoulder presentation, and face presentation. Kasi yan yung talagang mga abnormalities na difficult to correct and they are managed differently. Okay, so why do we have malpresentation? Okay, this is the shape of the normal uterus. Okay, the bulkiest part of the baby is the buttocks. So where do you think should the buttocks go? Inside the uterus. Paano niya ipoposition ang sarili niya? Siyempre, dun sa pinakamaluag, di ba? Where it can be accommodated. So normally, the buttocks are here, the head is here. Di ba? Kaya nga yun yung normal na lie. Now, if there's a problem with the space here above or the space here below, you cannot achieve a longitudinal lie. So, hahanap yung baby ng roomier place. Usually, it's the transverse. No? Ano yung mga problems na yon? If there's an abnormal presentation, if there's a myoma here on this part, or here, or if there's an abnormality in the shape of the uterus, the lie will be different. The presentation will be different. If there's excessive fluid, or no fluid at all, yung baby, hindi na siya pwedeng makagalaw, hindi na siya maka-change ng position. Sobrang daming fluid, sobrang magalaw ang baby. No, it changes position. Sobrang konti ng fluid, hindi na makagalaw si baby. So sometimes when they were initially transverse, hindi na siya makagalaw. So it will remain transverse until term. Okay? Yan. So a very premature fetus could also be malpresented. Okay, so how do we diagnose them, the malpresentation? So we already said this earlier, no? 'Di ba? By PE, Lupolds, okay? Yan. So tingnan natin 'to, how we will do the diagnosis for the different types of malpresentation. Okay, breech muna. Breech means the presenting part is the buttocks. Nauuna yung puwet. Okay, but there are 3 varieties. Pwedeng buttocks lang, pwedeng buttocks with feet, or buttocks and the feet aligned together. Okay. So we call them frank breech. The legs are extended. Okay, incomplete breech or footling breech kasi nauuna yung paa over the buttocks. And complete breech, pantay lang yung buttocks tsaka yung paa. Okay. The frank breech is the most common. Okay? The incomplete breech, because there are spaces in between, no, is the most at risk for cord prolapse. Kaya usually, pagka footling breech or incomplete breech, we don't subject them to labor anymore kasi baka mag-prolapse yung bag. Pag nag-rupture yun bigla, baka mag-prolapse yung cord and we end up with cord prolapse and the baby might die. So, pagka ganon, CS na yon. Complete breech is just like frank breech, handun pa rin yung puwet, it can actually dilate. It can actually dilate the cervix. Okay, how do we diagnose them? Lupolds maneuver. So, yung Lupolds 1 nyo, head ang makakapa. Okay? Lupolds 2, back on one side, okay pa rin. Lupolds 3, buttocks na. Buttocks, okay. And the fetal heart is usually above the level of the umbilicus. Kasi kung ang umbilicus nandito yung heart, mas mataas. Okay, the presenting part is the breech. Kung nakapikit kayo at hindi kayo sure, iba kasi ang feel ng head. No? The head is round, it's hard. The breech is medyo soft, and you will feel 2 prominences that are forming a straight line with an opening, which is the anus. So, ito yung breech presentation. Okay, tandaan nyo yun na. Straight line ang configuration niya. Okay. Of course, on ultrasound, you will be able to see this, no, the presentation, and you will also see if there are problems. Like, bakit pa siya nag-breech? Baka ang laki ng head niya. So, makikita natin yun sa ultrasound. Baka hydrocephalic pala, kaya pala breech ang presentation. Okay. So, pwede bang mag-vaginal ang breech? Yes, pwede. But the labor is longer because remember, yung wedge effect, hindi yung head. Ang wedge effect dito, yung buttocks, which is soft. So, hindi niya masyadong nadadilate yung cervix. Okay. But the problem with a vaginal breech presentation is the buttocks, the body can come out, but the head might get entrapped. Okay, di ba? Nakakatakot yun. Nakalabas na yung katawan, hindi mo ma-deliver yung head. That's the problem. Okay? Yan. So, this is how we manage them. Okay. Generally, cesarean section. Okay. Pero ito yung conditions. Dapat, first time niya, pregnancy, wala pa siyang previous delivery. Okay. Because untested. Incomplete breech. Incomplete means ayaw natin ipalabor kasi baka mag-cord prolapse, so CS na yan. Yung frank breech or complete breech but multigravid patient and the baby is not large, there can be a vaginal delivery is possible. Okay. Now, halimbawa, na-detect nyo yung breech, hindi pa nagle-labor. Pwede nyo bang i-correct yung position? Yes. We have a procedure called external cephalic version. I will show that to you later. Okay, ito yon. This is external version. Okay, manipulating the baby abdominally, we are trying to do a somersault. So from bridge presentation, iikutin siya with the hands and it will be converted into a cephalic presentation, longitudinal lie. Okay. But there are prerequisites for it to be safe kasi meron din yung complications. So you want it to be safe. So these prerequisites should be followed. It should be done in a hospital setting under ultrasound guidance. Okay? So that is what we call external cephalic version. Okay. Breech delivery. So how do we deliver the breech vaginally? Okay, there are 3 ways. Number 1, spontaneous. You don't do anything, you just allow the breech to come out. That's spontaneous breech delivery. Number 2, partial breech extraction. After the delivery of the feet up to the delivery of the umbilicus, okay, you will now then assist the delivery of the trunk and the head. So that's called a partial breech extraction. Yung complete breech extraction, wala kang hinihintay na lalabas. Right away, you just pull on the legs, you deliver the trunk, you deliver the head. That is called a complete breech extraction. Okay. Anong advantage nun? Mabilis. Mabilis, complete breech, no? You don't wait anymore, di ba? Deliver nyo kaagad. You will usually do that if, let's say, there's fetal distress during the delivery of the breech. Okay. Huwag ka na maghintay. Deliver mo kaagad. Okay. However, maraming problems yan kasi naggawa ka ng manipulation. So you expect that the morbidity will be higher. Okay. With partial breech, the morbidity is less, no? Ang partial breech, you do that because you don't want the trunk and the head to be staying there undelivered for a long time because it can press on the cord. And if the head and the body presses on the cord, it will compromise, no, the blood supply to the baby, and the baby might die or get asphyxiated. So you have to assist. So pag lumabas na up to the level of the umbilicus, you can now assist the delivery of the shoulders and the delivery of the head. Okay? Oh, may mga complications yan ha. What is this picture? This picture refers to a cervix that did not dilate completely. So, nakalabas ang body kasi malambot, hindi nakalabas yung head kasi hindi siya completely dilated. So, what we do is we cut the cervix. So, we create a Dursens incision in order to give some room, no, to allow the cervix to dilate. Okay, pero ayaw na natin yan kasi dami niyang morbidities. Okay, so what will be the best way to manage? Partial breech extraction. And this is how to do it. Okay, kita nyo to ha, breech yan. Ito anus kunyari. So you can see, no? Yan, delivery of the buttocks, tapos delivery of the legs. Okay, this is called the Pinard maneuver to bring down the feet in frank breech. Okay, and then assisting the delivery of the trunk. This one, yan, assisting the delivery of the trunk to deliver the shoulders, which we call the love set maneuver. Yan, releasing the arms, love set maneuver. And then afterwards, yung delivery ng baby. Okay, ito, delivery of the baby. The head has to be flexed in order to deliver the head. This is called the Morisot maneuver. Okay, finlex. Delivery by flexion. So yung isang kamay pressing on the maxilla so that the head will flex like this. And the assist presses on the suprapubic area to flex the head. So parang flexion talaga ang gustong mangyari para ma-deliver. The other way to deliver the head is by Piper forceps. Okay? So yun. Yun lang naman dapat yung alamin. Hindi na yung procedure. Let's go to shoulder. Okay, in shoulder presentation, when you inspect the abdomen, you will see that the abdomen is wider than tall. Wider than tall. Okay, kasi ang orientation ng baby is transverse lie. The baby can be back down, nauuna yung back, or nauuna yung small parts, which we call back up. Okay. It matters kasi iba yung makakapanyo. When you do an internal examination, iba yung makakapanyo pag back down. You will feel the acromion. Pero kung back up, you will feel maybe the hands, no? The hands, the small parts. Okay. So, You will see this better on ultrasound actually. Pero sometimes there's no time to do ultrasound. You have to do it by abdominal palpation and then by IE. Okay. Right. So management. If the patient is not in labor, you were able to detect it, you can do cephalic version at term. Okay? Para ma-change yung lie to a longitudinal lie and hopefully deliver vaginally. Management, cesarean section. Okay. So kung hindi pwede ang version, cesarean section. There is no room for vaginal delivery in shoulder, no? Kasi you cannot expect the cardinal movements. You cannot expect the cervix to dilate. You cannot expect the cardinal movements to happen. So CS yan. But if the baby is small, very small, okay, and dead, no? Very soft na yan, macerated na yan. That baby can fold and it can be delivered in a process called conduplicato corpore. So lalabas siya kasi maliit siya, macerated na siya, very soft. Magfo-fold na lang siya and it can be delivered vaginally. Okay, that's the only vaginal delivery in shoulder. Conduplicato corpore. Okay, kasi may problem tayo with shoulder ha, pag pinag-labor natin yan. Pag nag-rupture yung bag, pwedeng mag-cord prolapse or the arms could prolapse like this and you will not be able to deliver that baby. Talagang isi-CS mo pa din siya and the baby might die. So in that condition where you have a transverse lie, ruptured yung bag, prolapse yung arm, dead si baby, nakakita ka pa ng Bandal's ring, that is called a neglected transverse lie. Pwede yan mag-uterine rupture. How about the face? The only face presentation that you can deliver vaginally is a mentum anterior. Okay, mentum anterior. Bakit ba nagkakaroon ng face presentation? It happens because the head fails to flex. Hindi ba dapat mag-flex? Di ba? Flexion is an important movement, no, for the head to pass through. Hindi siya nag-flex. So, mas gusto pa nga niya extended like that, no? Extended. So, it presents a bigger diameter. Okay? And with that presentation, sometimes the cardinal movements cannot progress. Okay? This is mentum posterior. This one is mentum anterior. Between the two, this one, the mentum anterior, is the one that can be delivered vaginally. Kasi anong mechanism ang mangyayari para ma-deliver ang head? It has to go around the symphysis pubis, so it has to flex. Kaya niya yan gawin. Okay, but with face presentation, mentum posterior, ano ang kailangan niyang gawin para makaikot siya under the symphysis pubis? It has to extend. And look at this presentation. It cannot extend any further. Untog na yung occiput sa back. No? So you cannot deliver this vaginally. Okay? Oh, how do you diagnose? How do you diagnose? Oh, Lupolds again. Oh, you will see that on Lupolds 3, the back is concave instead of convex. You will also feel that on Lupolds 4, the cephalic prominence is right there beside the back. So face presentation yan. And on IE, on examination, okay, you will feel, kasi sasabihin mo, parang hindi ito head, pero hindi ko malaman kung ano to, breech ba to o face? To determine if this is face, you will feel the protuberances there, okay, yung prominences, and then it forms a triangle with the opening, which is the mouth. Triangle. Eh, di ba yung kanina, line sa breech, line. Ito, triangle. So that's how to differentiate the breech from the face. Okay? On internal examination. Okay? Yan. So, ganyan. Alright? Oh, this is the appearance of a baby that was delivered vaginally, mentum anterior. Ano nangyari sa face? Ba't ganito yung face? The face is so edematous. There's a lot of hematoma, contusion, ganyan, because it bore the brunt of the forces, no, during the contraction. Nauuntog siya sa cervix, nauuntog siya sa pelvis, etc., etc. Okay. Fortunately, nagre-resolve to. What we do is we do not show this to the mother kasi baka matakot siya, 'di ba? Baka matakot siya. So anyway, you wait for it to subside and then that's the time when you can show it to the mother. Okay? So in summary, yung malpresentation, any of this, okay? These are the indications for outright cesarean section in malpresentation. All the rest, pwede pang i-observe for vaginal delivery. Okay? And then, yeah, okay, the ways to deliver. All right, last, cesarean delivery. So I kept on mentioning cesarean section, di ba, for CPD. Ano ba yung cesarean section? It's a way to deliver the baby not vaginally but through the abdomen, through the uterus. So ang ginagawa, there is a surgical incision on the abdominal wall and then on the uterine wall in order to deliver the baby. So yan. Okay. So we call it primary if it's the first time. The first CS is called a primary CS. The succeeding cesarean deliveries will be called repeat cesarean delivery. Okay? Pero you probably will hear about a perimortem CS. Naku, morbid to. Perimortem, di ba? Pag perimortem, parang may namamatay. Actually, yes. A mother in cardiac arrest, a pregnant mother in cardiac arrest with a baby. Tapos, nag-arrest. We deliver them also by CS. Very fast. In 2 minutes, we're able to deliver the baby. We call it a perimortem. That's already part of the CPR of pregnant mothers who go into cardiac arrest. Life-saving siya. Kasi even the changes in pregnancy, cardiovascular changes, will improve when the baby is delivered. Okay? Yan. So, indications, ang dami. Nakita nyo na to, di ba? Ano ba yung indication? Abnormal passenger, di ba? Okay, ito, abnormal pelvis. Okay, abnormal pelvis, genital tract obstruction. Okay, in other words, dystocia is an indication, no? But there are other indications, not necessarily related to labor. Like for example, nagkaroon ng surgery on the uterus and the uterus becomes weakened by the scar. So, CS yun. Maternal conditions, for example, preeclampsia, eclampsia, okay, severe heart failure, na stroke, etc. Infections, or when there's a pathology that needs to be removed. Example, yung tumor previa, baka pwede nating tanggalin na din yung ovarian new growth at the same time as the cesarean section. Okay, failed operative vaginal delivery, failed forceps or vacuum, and then perimortem. So maraming indications. But you can see that the most common indication for CS is still dystocia. Dystocia, no? And then followed by non-reassuring fetal tracing or fetal distress. Okay, what does this mean? Kung gusto mong tumaas dumami ang nasi-CS, ay nako, kailangan, kung gusto mong bawasan ang nasi-CS, kailangan i-monitor mong maigi. Kasi baka mamaya, yung dystocia mo, meron pa palang pwedeng remedy. Okay? Because knowing that the most common indication for CS is dystocia, you have to manage your patients properly because your indication for dystocia might not be correct. Baka naman correction of powers lang, yung mga ganon, no? Or more observation, etc. Okay? Now, okay. Take note. Dalawa ang hiwa, ha? One on the abdominal wall and another on the uterus. So what you see on the abdominal wall, the incision or the scar here, is not the same as the hiwa on the uterus. Okay, what are the most common incisions on the abdominal wall? A midline vertical, yung ganyan, common yan. Okay? Or the other one is a fan and steel. That's the bikini cut. That's the one that can be hidden, no? So makakakita ka, pwede siyang na-CS na, pero maitatago niya yung scar kung nakabikini siya. Oh, pero kasi kung multigravid naman na siya, dai-dai niyang striae, malalaman pa rin na nag-baby na siya, di ba? Okay, so yon. But this one is cosmetically appealing, the fan and steel. So, okay. Abdominal wall incisions. Advantage of midline vertical, it's fast. It is used for emergency kasi yung fan and steel medyo mas mabagal gawin. Alright, but cosmetically more pleasing than a midline vertical. Yung uterine incisions, okay. Ayan, ang dami. Ang daming choices. Where is the cut? It should be done on the lower uterine segment. It should be done on the lower uterine segment because that area is thin. It heals faster, it is less bloody, okay? And anatomically, mas maganda yung repair pagka sa lower segment. Okay? So, yung opposite nun, yung sa upper segment. Okay, so it has to be on the lower segment. Okay, Kerr incision, ayan o, transverse incision, we call it the Kerr. Or a vertical incision, we call it the chronic. Okay? Or a J, which is just an extension up into the upper segment of the incision. Or a T incision, yung meron kang transverse, meron ka pang vertical. We don't want this because the scar here is very weak. Prone to rupture yan in the next pregnancy. Okay. This one is transverse. This one is vertical on the upper segment. This is the classical cesarean section. Ito ang preferred natin, the Kerr incision. Faster healing, less blood loss. Okay? And this has a chance for vaginal delivery in the next pregnancy. Okay? So, may mga advantages yan. All right. Yung classical, ginagawa lang namin if the baby is so large that it will not pass through a small incision here in the lower uterine segment, no? You need a bigger incision, so you have to go for classical. We do this for mga hydrocephalic babies o kaya transverse lie. Ito din yon. Okay. So just to show you, okay, series of photos from the start to the end. Ito, tingnan nyo, orientation natin. The head part of the patient is here, no? At dito banda yung paa. So the surgeon is there, creating the first incision dun sa abdomen, midline vertical ang ginagawa. Okay, deepened into the abdominal wall hanggang ma-expose ang uterus. And then another cut on the uterus, this time on the lower uterine segment, transverse. The head is scooped. The baby's head comes out. The baby's trunk is pulled out. Delivered na ang baby. The placenta is extracted. And then, next is the repair of the incision. So, i-repair yan, isasara. Pag na-close na yung uterus, the next thing to close is the abdominal wall. Okay? And then, this is the final product. What you see is just a scar or as the incision itself. Na? Okay. So, yon. Basically, ganon. How long does it take? Well, for an expert, maybe 30 minutes from skin to skin. Ibig sabihin, from the time na nag-cut to the time na na-repair yung skin, 30 minutes, tapos. For some, the average is around 60 minutes, 1 hour. Okay? Yan. All right. Complications. Okay. Cesarean section can be life-saving. Yes. Diba? And if properly indicated, life-saving. But you see, there are so many complications. Take a look at this one. This is evidence-based. Maternal mortality and morbidity increases 4 to 9 times if a cesarean section is done. And it increases further if the cesarean section is not a planned cesarean section, but an emergency cesarean section. Okay, ang daming complications which can happen during the cesarean, immediately after the cesarean, and even, no, way after the delivery. Ang pinaka nakakatakot yan, which we are seeing right now, and it is increasing because the cesarean section rate is increasing, is placenta accreta syndrome. The placenta cannot be separated from the uterus, so it becomes very bloody, no? Patient can go into hemorrhage, and the only solution there is a hysterectomy. Okay, so she will lose her uterus. The other condition that we are seeing on the rise is an ectopic pregnancy on the cesarean section scar. Oh, di ba? Nakakatakot din yan kasi it can end up also in a hysterectomy, although may ibang ways to manage it. But it is actually life-threatening kasi hemorrhage ang problem natin dyan. And of course, you also have complications in the fetus, in the newborn, and even during childhood. So you see, daming complications. That's why we do not do CS left and right. We do not advocate that. We only do it for when there is a strong indication to do a cesarean section. Okay, so paano ngayon si mother? Na CS siya ngayon. Paano siya manganganak in the future? Concern nila yan, ha? We have to address that and we have to explain to that. So, we have to allow good healing for the scar. So, dapat may 18 months interval between this pregnancy and the next. Okay? To allow for wound healing. Okay. The cesarean section should be repeated. Uulitin. In other words, no chance na for a vaginal delivery if the reason for the first cesarean section is a permanent indication. Like for example, yung reason does not change. Example, CPD siya. Mag-change pa ba yung CPD? Hindi na. So, hindi na siya isa-subject to labor, to a trial. CS na yan. Okay? So, that's a permanent indication. So, if the first cesarean section was a classical incision, remember the classical, yung patayo sa uterus, no? Okay, the risk of rupture in that incision is very high. So, dapat hindi siya ipalabor. CS na yan dapat in the next pregnancy. Or, more than one cesarean section. Halimbawa, nakadalawa na siyang CS. Ay, wag na natin siyang ipalabor. No room for vaginal delivery. Okay, so, ito, yung timing of the repeat should be 39 weeks for low transverse. If the scar is classical, it should be done at 36 weeks to 37 weeks. Kasi baka mag-labor pa yung may classical scar, tapos mag-rupture. So we don't wait for 39 weeks. Okay? So, there is room for vaginal delivery. Okay, if prerequisites are met. Okay, vaginal delivery. So, pwede pala namang mag-vaginal delivery after a cesarean delivery. So, we call this VBAC. Okay, it's a strategy to reduce cesarean rates para wala din tayong mga complications of acrita and ectopic pregnancy. Okay, so success with VBAC is 70 to 80% if the patients are properly selected. Okay? So, once a CS, always a CS, hindi na yan ang dictum. Ano yung prerequisites? Ito. Okay. The contraindications to a vaginal birth na minention natin kanina, yan yung prerequisites. Only one previous CS. Previous CS incision is the Kerr incision or the transverse incision. The previous CS was done for a non-recurring or a non-permanent indication. Halimbawa, fetal distress. Halimbawa, nagkaroon pala siya ng placenta previa. Okay, hindi naman na siya magkakaroon siguro ng fetal distress sa susunod, no? Pwedeng wala. So it's not a recurring problem. Yung placenta previa, baka naman hindi siya mag-placenta previa. So it's not a non-recurring problem. So pwede siyang mag-CS in the next pregnancy. No CPD. Okay? No CPD. Baby is of average size. No other operations on the uterus kasi syempre any scar on the uterus will cause weakness and it can lead to rupture of the uterus. No maternal indications like baka mamaya eclampsia na to. Huwag na natin siyang i-trial, no? Okay, and then again, yung 18 months, it has to be done in a setup where there's blood because you might need blood transfusion, where there is an operating room that is readily accessible, hindi yung nakapila yung mga pasyente, ipipila mo pa ba yung may uterine rupture? No. And most importantly, the mother should consent. Papayag siya, and she is aware of the complications. Okay. So uterine rupture is a complication of VBAC. Okay, so when the patient goes into labor, pwede siyang mag-rupture. That's a complication. But look at the rates. With a low transverse incision in the previous cesarean, tapos nag-labor siya ngayon, less than 1%. Pero kung classical yung incision niya in the previous, umaakyat to 4%. So, siguro ito i-allow mo to kasi mababa naman. But this one, you would rather be safe. You will not recommend VBAC anymore. Okay? So, yung uterine rupture, when I say uterine rupture, through and through yan, yung disruption. In other words, all layers of the uterus and the baby goes out of the uterus. And then there's excessive bleeding. The baby could die, no? Okay. Yung dehiscence, there's still a part of the uterus that's intact, that's keeping the baby inside the uterus. So that's dehiscence. So mas morbid yung rupture compared to a dehiscence. But when there's a dehiscence, it can always progress into a rupture. So when there's a dehiscence, you still have to do an abdominal delivery. Okay. So ano dapat ang gagawin natin? Okay, pumayag si patient mag-VBAC. Nag-consent siya. So during the labor, your role is to monitor that you will be able to pick up early signs of uterine rupture if there is, no? So dapat meron tayong anong tawag nito? We are vigilant, no? We are vigilant. Kasi ayaw nating nag-rupture na, tsaka pa lang natin madadiagnose. And these are the signs of uterine rupture. Sudden tear. The mother will know that and she will tell you, ang sakit, aray, biglang sumakit kasi nag-tear yung uterus. And there will be signs of hemorrhage, babagsak ang BP, tachycardia, she will be pale, you will see vaginal bleeding, and then on palpation, sabihin nyo, ay, ba't nakakapakong maigi tong head, nakakapakong maigi tong body, etc. of the baby, no? From station 0, baka biglang nag-station -3, tumaas yung presenting part because it went out, it escaped the uterus. And the fetal heart will change. So aside from monitoring vital signs, complaint of the patient, kung may pain, you have to monitor fetal heart rate. Because ito yung nagbibigay sa inyo ng earliest sign of rupture. Magbabago muna yung fetal heart ni baby. Okay? So you need to be vigilant, monitor the fetal heart in a patient who is undergoing trial of labor for vaginal birth after CS. Okay? So, what will you do pag nangyari yon? We discussed it in uterine rupture. Dapat, again, call for help. Bring the patient to the OR right away. Get blood, no? And then the obstetrician should be ready to perform the delivery. I-extract niya yung baby out, no? So, abdominal delivery, hindi na siya maghihiwa sa uterus kasi bumukas na yung uterus. The baby is out there in the peritoneal cavity. I-deliver ang baby and then they will control the bleeding from the uterus. Whether it's going to be a repair or a hysterectomy, depende yon how severe the problem is. Okay? So I think it's time to summarize abdominal delivery. Okay? Indications, ito. All right? The incision that is preferred is a low transverse incision, the care, preferred over a classical. But the advantage of a classical is you can do a bigger incision and you can do a faster cesarean delivery. All right. And then, because of the complications of cesarean section, we don't do it left and right. Okay. We will try to check if there is room for a trial of labor and a vaginal delivery because in some patients that is possible. Okay. Provided the requirements and the proper monitoring are observed. Okay. So yon. That's it. So I told you earlier, mahabang lecture natin. Do you have questions? Don't worry because everything that I said, ilalagay ko yan dyan sa annotation sa slides niyo. Okay? So you can just go back to the slides and review them before you take the exam. Or maybe review them later if you have time para lang ma-reinforce yung learning. Do you have questions? Is there anyone here in the group na ano, nagkaroon na ng delivery or is already a mother and maybe had a long labor or had a cesarean section? O, siguro yung mga kapatid niyo siguro, no? Maybe may experience na kayo. So maybe if they ask you, you're in a better position to explain to them, na? Okay. So yan. All right. Ay, may chat. What's in the chat? Okay. So you have to fill out now the evaluation for this lecture. Okay. So please do that.